The ultimatum captain, Alina Vasquez, stood at the observation deck of the diplomatic station, watching the sleek alien vessels maintain their formation around the small human outpost. The Zephyrian ships looked like living creatures made of silver and blue metal, their hulls shifting and flowing as if they were breathing. There were 23 of them, each one twice the size of the largest human vessel in the system. Alina had been a soldier before she became a diplomat, and every instinct in her body was screaming that this meeting was going to go badly. The Zephyrians had requested this diplomatic contact 6 months ago, claiming they wanted to establish peaceful relations with humanity. Now, looking at their fleet, Alina suspected they had other plans. Dr. Marcus Chen stood beside her, his hands trembling slightly as he adjusted his translation device. Marcus was one of Earth's leading experts on alien languages, but the Zephyrians were his first real contact with a hostile species. Alina could see the fear in his eyes, but she also saw determination. Captain Lieutenant Sarah Blake's voice crackled over the communicator. The Zephyrian delegation is requesting to board the station. They're sending a shuttle now. Alina straightened her uniform and checked her sidearm. She knew the weapon would be useless against advanced alien technology, but it made her feel better to have it. Understood, Lieutenant. Dr. Chen, are you ready? Marcus nodded, though his face was pale. My translation software has been analyzing their language patterns for months. I should be able to communicate with them effectively. The docking bay doors opened with a soft hiss, and the Zephyrian shuttle glided inside. The craft was beautiful, in an alien way, with no sharp edges or visible weapons. It looked more like a work of art than a military vessel. Alina wondered if that was intentional, designed to make humans feel comfortable while the real warships waited outside. 3 Zephyrians emerged from the shuttle, and Alina got her first close look at the aliens who had traveled across the galaxy to meet with humanity. They were tall, perhaps 8 feet in height, with elongated limbs and skin that seemed to shift between silver and blue depending on the light. Their faces were angular, with large eyes that glowed with an inner light. They moved with fluid grace, as if they were walking through water instead of air. The leader of the group approached Alina when he spoke. His voice was like music, but there was something cold and calculating in his tone. I am Commander Dex-9 of the Zephyrian Collective. You are Captain Alina Vasquez of the human species. That's correct, Alina replied, keeping her voice steady. Welcome to Haven Station. I hope we can have a productive discussion about relations between our peoples. Commander Vex-9 tilted his head in what might have been amusement. Captain Vasquez, there will be no discussion. We are here to deliver an ultimatum to your species. Alina felt her heart rate increase, but she kept her expression neutral. I'm listening. The Zephyrian Collective has been expanding through this region of space for over 3,000 years. We have encountered many species in our expansion, and we have learned that the galaxy is not large enough for multiple intelligent races to coexist peacefully. There are limited resources, limited habitable worlds, and limited space for growth. Dr. Chen stepped forward, his translation device glowing as he processed the alien's words. Commander, surely there's room for cooperation between our species. Humans have always believed that diversity makes us stronger. The second Zephyrian, who had not yet spoken, made a sound that might have been laughter. Dr. Chen, your species has been in space for less than 200 years. You know nothing of the realities of galactic politics. The strong survive, and the weak are absorbed or eliminated. Alina felt a chill run down her spine. What exactly are you proposing? Commander Dex-9 gestured toward the viewport, where his fleet was clearly visible. Captain, humanity has established 3 colonies in this sector: New Harmony, Terra Nova, and Eden's Gate. These worlds contain approximately 4 million human civilians. We are giving your species 48 hours to evacuate all 3 colonies. And if we refuse, Alina asked, though she already knew the answer, then we will remove your people by force. The Zephyrian Collective has never been successfully opposed by any species. We have absorbed 18 different civilizations over the past millennium. Your people can join us as servants, or they can be eliminated as obstacles. Dr. Chun's translation device was working overtime, and Alina could see the sweat beading on his forehead. Commander, surely there's another way. Humans are innovative, creative. We could contribute to your collective. The third, Zephyrian, finally spoke, his voice even more musical than the others. Dr. Chen, we have analyzed your species extensively. Humans are indeed creative, but you are also chaotic, unpredictable, and violent. You wage war against your own kind, you consume resources wastefully, and you resist authority. You would be a disruptive influence on our perfect society. Alina had heard enough. Commander Dex-9, I cannot speak for all of humanity, but I can speak for the colonies in this sector. We will not abandon our homes. Those 4 million people have built lives, families, and communities on those worlds. They are not leaving. The Zephyrian leader's eyes flared brighter. Captain, you do not understand the situation. We have 23 warships in this system. According to our intelligence, humanity has fewer than 50 combat vessels in this entire sector, and most of them are small patrol craft. This is not a negotiation. This is a statement of fact. Alina walked to the communication panel and activated the long-range transmitter. Lieutenant Blake, send an immediate message to Terran Defense Command. Priority Alpha. Tell them we have a hostile alien fleet demanding the evacuation of all human colonies in this sector. Request immediate military support. Commander Dex-9 made a sound that was definitely laughter. Captain, the nearest human military base is 3 weeks away at your fastest travel speed. We will complete our operation long before any help arrives. Alina turned back to face the aliens. Commander, I think you may have underestimated humanity. We don't abandon our people, and we don't surrender our homes without a fight. Captain Vasquez II, Zephyrian said, we have studied your species' military capabilities. Your weapons are primitive, your ships are small, and your numbers are limited. If you choose to fight, you will lose, and many humans will die unnecessarily. Dr. Chen stepped beside Alina, his fear replaced by anger. Commander, you speak of us as if we're animals to be herded. We are a sentient species with the right to exist and determine our own fate. Dr. Chen, Commander Dex-9 replied, rights are a luxury that can only be afforded by the strong. Your species is weak, divided, and technologically inferior. You will submit to the Zephyrian Collective, or you will be eliminated. Alina felt something cold and hard settle in her stomach. These aliens weren't interested in coexistence or cooperation. They saw humanity as nothing more than an obstacle to their expansion. She thought about the 4 million people on the 3 colonies, the families who had left Earth to build new lives among the stars, the children who had been born on those distant worlds. Commander Alina said, her voice steady despite the fear in her heart. I want to be very clear about something. You are threatening to attack civilian populations, including children. If you do that, if you harm innocent people, humanity will Never forgive or forget. We will hunt you across the galaxy if necessary. The Zephyrian leader's expression didn't change. Captain, your threats are meaningless. In 48 hours, your colonies will be evacuated or destroyed. The choice is yours. Alina looked at Dr. Chen, who nodded grimly. There was nothing more to say. The aliens had made their position clear, and so had she. Commander, our meeting is over. Please return to your ships. As the Zephyrians glided back to their shuttle, Alina activated her communicator. Lieutenant Blake, what's the status on that message to Terran Defense Command? Message sent. Captain, we should receive a response within 6 hours. What are your orders? Alina watched the alien shuttle disappear into the docking bay of the nearest Zephyrian vessel. The enemy fleet hung in space like a collection of deadly art pieces, beautiful and terrifying at the same time. She knew that her small diplomatic station and its minimal defenses would last perhaps minutes against such overwhelming firepower. Lieutenant, contact the colonies. Tell them about the situation. They need to know what they're facing. Within hours, Alina was in communication with the governors of all 3 colonies. Governor Martinez of New Harmony appeared on her screen first, his face grim with determination. Captain, we've received your message. Our people are frightened, but they're also angry. These aliens think they can just push us around because we're new to space. Governor, I have to be honest with you. Their fleet is massive, and we have very limited military resources in this sector. If Earth sends help, it won't arrive for weeks. Governor Martinez's jaw tightened. Captain, my people didn't leave Earth to run away from the first sign of trouble. We came here to build something new, something better. We're not leaving. The governors of Terra Nova and Eden's Gate expressed similar sentiments. Alina felt a mixture of pride and terror. The human colonists were showing the same stubborn courage that had driven humanity to the stars. But that courage might get them. All killed as the hours passed. Alina found herself staring out at the Zephyrian fleet, wondering if this was how humanity's expansion into space would end. The aliens had superior technology, superior numbers, and thousands of years of experience in galactic conquest. What did humanity have to oppose them? Dr. Chen joined her at the observation window. Captain, I've been analyzing the Zephyrian language patterns and cultural references. I think I understand their psychology better now. What did you learn? They're not just conquerors, they're supremacists. They genuinely believe that they are the pinnacle of evolution, that other species are inferior by definition. They've probably never encountered serious resistance because most species surrender when faced with overwhelming force. Alina nodded. But humans don't surrender. No, we don't. And I think that's going to surprise them. 24 hours passed, and Alina received a message from Terran Defense Command that made her heart sink. The nearest fleet was indeed 3 weeks away, and it consisted of only 12 ships. Even if they arrived in time, they would be vastly outnumbered by the Zephyrian force. With 18 hours left until the alien ultimatum expired, Alina was preparing for the worst, when Lieutenant Blake's voice crackled over the communicator with excitement. Captain, you need to see this. I'm picking up a massive energy signature approaching the system. Alina rushed to the sensor station, where Lieutenant Blake was staring at her displays with wide eyes. What am I looking at, Lieutenant? Ma'am, it's a ship, a big one. Energy output is off the charts, and it's moving faster than anything I've ever seen. It should reach the system in 12 hours. Dr. Chen joined them at the sensor station. Could it be another Zephyrian vessel? Lieutenant Blake shook her head. No, sir. The energy signature is completely different. This is definitely human technology, but it's unlike anything in our current databases. Alina felt her heart begin to race. Are you sure it's human? Yes, Captain. The hyperspace signature is definitely Terran, but the power output suggests a vessel much larger than anything in our official fleet records. As Alina stared at the sensor readings, she felt something she hadn't experienced in days: hope. Humanity had always been innovative, always finding ways to overcome impossible odds. Maybe, just maybe, they had one more surprise for the Zephyrians. The alien fleet maintained their positions around the human colonies, confident in their superiority and certain of their victory. They had no idea that their assumptions about humanity were about to be shattered in the most spectacular way possible. The arrival the USS Defiant dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler system like a dark promise made manifest. The ship was enormous, stretching nearly 3 kilometers from bow to stern, its hull a matte black that seemed to absorb starlight rather than reflect it. Unlike the graceful curves of the Zephyrian vessels, the Defiant was angular and predatory, built for one purpose: war. On the bridge of the Defiant, Admiral Rebecca Stone stood with her hands clasped behind her back, studying the tactical display that showed the positions of the Zephyrian fleet. She was a woman in her early 50s with steel-grey hair and eyes that had seen too many battles. Her uniform bore the insignia of the Terran Defense Force's Black Fleet, a division so secret that most humans didn't know it existed. Admiral, her tactical officer, reported, "We have 23 Zephyrian vessels in standard intimidation formation around the human colonies. They appear to be medium cruisers, approximately 600 meters in length." Admiral Stone nodded. "And Captain Vasquez's diplomatic station, still intact, ma'am?" The Zephyrians appeared to be waiting for their ultimatum to expire before taking action. Stone smiled grimly. How thoughtful of them. "Communications, open a channel to Captain Vasquez." Elena's face appeared on the main screen, and Stone could see the relief in her eyes. "Admiral Stone, thank God you're here. The Zephyrians have given us less than 10 hours to evacuate Familian colonists." "Captain Vasquez, no one is evacuating. Your people are under the protection of the Terran Defense Force. We're here to make sure they stay that way." Elena's brow furrowed. "Admiral, I've never seen a ship like yours. What is the Defiant?" Stone's expression grew serious. "Captain, there are aspects of Earth's military capabilities that the colonies haven't been informed about. The Defiant is part of our deep space defense initiative. We've been preparing for this kind of encounter for decades." On the Zephyrian flagship, Sub-Commander Vec 7 was staring at his sensor readings with growing alarm. He was younger than Commander Vex 9, with lighter blue skin and more pronounced ridges along his skull. His role was tactical analysis, and what he was seeing made no sense. "Commander," he said, his musical voice strained with confusion, "we have a problem. The human vessel that just arrived is massive. It's nearly 3 times the size of our largest ships, and its energy output is beyond anything in our databases." Commander Vex 9 looked at the tactical display with disdain. "Sub-Commander, size does not determine victory. We have 23 ships, they have 1. The mathematics are simple. Sir, respectfully, I don't think this is a normal human vessel. The energy signatures suggest weapons and defensive systems far beyond what we've observed from human technology." Dex 9's eyes flared with annoyance. "Sub-Commander, we have studied the human species for months. They are primitives who have barely learned to travel between stars. One ship, no matter how large, cannot stand against our entire fleet. But Vex 7 was studying his readings more carefully. Commander, I'm detecting weapon systems that don't match any known human technology. This ship appears to be equipped with gravitational manipulators, quantum torpedoes, and something that looks like a stellar compression cannon. Impossible, Dex 9 replied. Human technology is centuries behind our own. You are misreading the data. Meanwhile, on the Defiant, Admiral Stone was addressing her senior staff. Chief Engineer Rodriguez, a stocky man with graying hair and steady hands, was reviewing the ship's systems. Admiral, all primary systems are online. Gravitational shields are at maximum efficiency, and the main cannon is charged and ready. Stone nodded. Excellent. I want to send a message to our Zephyrian friends, something they'll understand. What kind of message, Admiral? Her weapons officer asked. The kind that speaks louder than words. Target the asteroid field near the 4th planet. I want a demonstration of our capabilities. The Defiant's main cannon began to charge, and space itself seemed to bend around the weapon's focusing array. The ship's hull hummed with barely contained energy as the stellar compression cannon reached full power. On the Zephyrian flagship, Vex 7 was frantically monitoring the human vessel. Commander, the human ship is charging some kind of weapon. The energy output is incredible. Sub-Commander, stop panicking. What can one weapon do against our entire fleet? The Defiant fired, and space itself seemed to scream. The stellar compression cannon released a beam of concentrated gravitational force that struck the asteroid field with impossible precision. The asteroids didn't just explode or vaporize. They were compressed into a single point of superdense matter that collapsed in on itself, creating a miniature black hole that lasted for several seconds before dissipating. The entire fleet watched in stunned silence as the human weapon casually rearranged the local space-time continuum. Where there had been a field of asteroids, there was now empty space and slowly fading gravitational distortions. By the collective, Vexism whispered. They compressed matter itself. The energy required for such a weapon is beyond our comprehension. Commander Vex 9 was staring at the tactical display with his mouth open. In 3,000 years of galactic expansion, the Zephyrian Collective had never encountered a weapon that could manipulate gravity and matter at the subatomic level. Their own most advanced weapons were plasma-based energy projectors that seemed primitive by comparison. On the Defiant, Admiral Stone was satisfied with the demonstration. Communications, open a channel to the Zephyrian fleet. Let's have a conversation. The main screen flickered, and Commander Vex 9's face appeared. For the first time since the encounter began, the alien looked uncertain. I am Commander Dex 9 of the Zephyrian Collective. You are the commander of the human vessel. I am Admiral Rebecca Stone of the Terran Defense Force. You've been threatening human colonies and civilian populations. That stops now. Dex 9's eyes flared, but his voice lacked its earlier confidence. Admiral, we have 23 ships. You have 1. Even with your advanced weapons, you cannot stand against our entire fleet. Stone smiled coldly. Commander, you've just seen what one of our weapons can do. The Defiant carries 17 different weapon systems, each one more advanced than anything your species has ever encountered. But more importantly, you're not facing one ship. You're facing humanity's resolve to protect our people. Admiral, your technology is impressive, but numbers still matter in space combat. Stone's expression didn't change. Commander, let me explain something to you. The weapon you just saw demonstrated is our mining equipment. We use it to clear asteroid fields for construction projects. Our actual weapons are considerably more destructive. The silence that followed was deafening. Throughout the Zephyrian fleet, crew members were looking at their tactical displays and realizing that their assumptions about human technology had been catastrophically wrong. The species they had dismissed as primitive had just demonstrated the ability to manipulate the fundamental forces of physics. Subcommander Vex 7 was running rapid calculations on his console. Commander, if their mining equipment can compress matter at the subatomic level, their actual weapons could potentially collapse stars or destabilize entire solar systems. Vex 9 was beginning to understand the magnitude of their error. Admiral Stone, we may have underestimated your species' capabilities. Perhaps we should reconsider our ultimatum. Stone leaned forward. Commander, there's nothing to reconsider. Your ultimatum is rejected. The human colonies remain exactly where they are, and your fleet will leave this system immediately. Admiral, the Zephyrian Collective has never retreated from a system. We have claimed our reputation throughout the galaxy is built on strength and consistency. Commander, your reputation is about to be built on wisdom and the ability to recognize when you're outmatched. You have 1 hour to leave this system. If you're still here after that time, I'll consider your presence an act of war. The communication ended, and Vex-9 found himself staring at a blank screen. Around him, his crew was looking at him with expressions of fear and confusion. For the first time in Zephyrian history, their fleet was facing an enemy that was technologically superior. Subcommander, Vex-9 said quietly, "What is your tactical assessment?" Vex 7 looked at his readings one more time. "Commander, if we attack the human vessel, we will be destroyed. Their technology is not just advanced, it's revolutionary. They're manipulating forces that we've only theorized about. And if we retreat, sir, we live to report back to the collective. We can inform them that humanity is not the primitive species we believed them to be." On the colonies, Governor Martinez was watching the confrontation through the diplomatic station's sensors. "Captain Vasquez, what just happened?" The sensors showed some kind of massive energy discharge. Elena was smiling for the first time in days. "Governor, I think the Terrans just showed the Zephyrians what advanced human technology looks like. The alien fleet has gone completely silent." Indeed, the Zephyrian fleet had stopped all communications. Their ships hung in space like confused sculptures, their crews struggling to comprehend what they had witnessed. The species that had conquered 18 civilizations over 3 millennia was facing their first real defeat. Admiral Stone was monitoring the alien fleet's status. "Chief Engineer, what's the Zephyrian fleet doing?" Rodriguez checked his sensors. "Admiral, they're not moving, but they're not charging weapons either. I think they're in shock." Stone nodded. "They're learning that humanity doesn't bluff. Communications, open a channel to all human colonies in the system." Governor Martinez's face appeared on the screen, along with the governors of the other 2 colonies. "Admiral, we can't thank you enough. We thought we were going to have to evacuate or fight a hopeless battle. Governor, no human colony will ever be abandoned by the Terran Defense Force. We protect our people, no matter how far from Earth they travel." As the hour deadline approached, the Zephyrian fleet began to move. But instead of taking attack positions, they were forming up for hyperspace departure. Commander Vex-9 sent one final message to the Defiant. "Admiral Stone, the Zephyrian fleet is withdrawing from this system. We will report to the collective that humanity is not the species we believed them to be." Stone's expression remained stern. "Commander, make sure your report is accurate. Humanity protects its people, and we don't forgive threats against our civilians. If the Zephyrian Collective wants peaceful relations, we are willing to discuss them. But if you threaten us again, the response will be swift and decisive. The Zephyrian fleet disappeared into hyperspace, leaving the human colonies in peace. Alina felt a wave of relief wash over her as she watched the alien ships vanish from her sensors. "Admiral," she said over the communicator, "how long has the Terran Defense Force had ships like the Defiant?" Stone's smile was enigmatic. "Captain, humanity has always been innovative. We've been preparing for this kind of encounter since we first reached the stars. The galaxy is full of species that might see us as threats or opportunities. We decided to make sure they see us as neither prey nor easy targets." As the Defiant prepared to continue its patrol of human space, Admiral Stone reflected on the encounter. Humanity had won not through violence, but through strength and the will to protect their people. The Zephyrians had learned that humans were not the primitive species they had assumed, and hopefully other hostile species would learn the same lesson. In the end, the aliens had gone silent, not because they were defeated, but because they had finally understood what humanity truly was. A species that would never abandon its people, never surrender its freedom, and never stop pushing the boundaries of what was possible.
Part 1. First Contact Fallout. The bridge of the UES Defiance hummed with quiet efficiency. Captain Maya Chen stood with her hands clasped behind her back, dark eyes fixed on the endless void displayed on the main view screen. At 42, she had the bearing of someone who had seen enough conflict to respect peace, but enough peace to prepare for war. Her weathered face, marked with a thin scar across her right cheek, remained impassive as she monitored the routine patrol along the outer reaches of human space. "Status report, Lieutenant Okafor," she said, her voice cutting through the ambient noise of the bridge. Lieutenant Nandi Okafor looked up from his console, his fingers still dancing across holographic displays. "All systems nominal, Captain. We've completed our sweep of the Arcturus sector. Nothing unusual to report." He paused, squinting at a new data stream. "Wait, I'm picking up some unusual energy signatures at coordinates 227 Mark 43. Maya moved to his station, leaning over his shoulder to examine the readings. Definitely not natural. Too regular, too precise. She straightened, addressing her science officer. "Dr. Takahashi, analysis." Dr. Miyaru Takahashi, a thin woman with silver-streaked hair pulled back in a severe bun, manipulated her own controls. "It appears to be some form of monitoring network, Captain. Advanced technology, not ours. The energy pattern suggests quantum-based sensors, far more sophisticated than anything in our arsenal." Maya's expression hardened. Humanity had expanded rapidly into the stars over the past century, establishing colonies on dozens of worlds. But despite all their explorations, they had yet to encounter another intelligent species. Until now, perhaps. How long has it been there? "Impossible to say without further analysis," Dr. Takahashi replied. "But based on the dust accumulation patterns, I'd estimate at least 18 months. Maya's jaw tightened. 18 months. Someone, something, had been watching them, studying them, for over a year. And they hadn't noticed until now. "Tactical alert," she ordered. "Shields up, weapons on standby." Commander Alexander Volkov, her XO and tactical officer, complied immediately. The bridge lighting shifted to a subtle red, and Maya felt the almost imperceptible hum as the Defiance's shield generators came online. "Should we destroy it?" Volkov asked, his Russian accent more pronounced under stress. Maya considered. "No, not yet. If someone's been watching us, I want to know who and why before we give away that we've discovered their surveillance." "Captain," Okafor called out, his voice tight, "I'm detecting a massive energy surge from the array." Before Maya could respond, the view screen flickered, and an image materialized. The bridge crew fell silent, staring at the alien figure that now dominated their view. They were vaguely humanoid, but with iridescent skin that seemed to shift colors with each movement. Multiple pairs of eyes arranged in vertical columns gazed out from a face that seemed composed more of angles than curves. When it spoke, its mouth didn't move. Instead, patterns of light rippled across its skin. "Humans of Earth vessel," the alien said, its voice surprisingly melodic despite the metallic undertones of translation. "I am Supreme Commander Zulvax of the Vorax Dominion. Your primitive craft has trespassed into space claimed by the Dominion." Maya stepped forward. "This is Captain Maya Chen of the United Earth Ship Defiance. We were unaware of any territorial claims in this sector. We come with peaceful intentions." The alien, Zulvax, made a gesture that might have been dismissive. "Peace is irrelevant. The Vorax Dominion has observed your species for some time. Your technological development is concerning. Your biological adaptability even more so." Maya maintained her composure, though alarm bells were ringing in her mind. "We pose no threat to your people, Commander Zulvax. We would welcome diplomatic relations." "Diplomacy is inefficient," Zulvax interrupted. "The Dominion Council has determined that humanity represents a potential future threat to Vorax expansion. Therefore, you will surrender your vessel and submit coordinates for all human settlements. Your species will be relocated to a controlled environment where your development can be properly managed." The bridge fell silent. Maya felt cold anger building in her chest. "And if we refuse?" The alien's skin rippled with patterns that somehow conveyed amusement. "Your vessel will be destroyed as a demonstration. Then, one by one, your colonies will follow. The choice is simple: controlled existence or extinction." The screen went dark. "They've severed the connection," Okafor reported. Maya turned to her crew, noting the mix of fear and determination on their faces. "Options." Volkov was the first to speak. "The sensor readings suggest their technology is at least a century ahead of ours, Captain. In a direct confrontation, we wouldn't stand a chance." "So we don't confront them directly," Maya replied. "Dr. Takahashi, what did you make of their surveillance network?" The science officer had been analyzing data throughout the exchange. "It's impressive, but specialized. Designed to detect conventional energy signatures, fusion drives, matter/antimatter reactions, quantum communications. But there are gaps." "What kind of gaps?" "Their sensors seem calibrated for advanced technology. They might overlook simpler systems as irrelevant." Maya nodded slowly, an idea forming. "Like considering a Stone Age spear harmless against power armor." "Precisely," Takahashi confirmed. "They're looking for threats that match their understanding of dangerous technology." Maya turned to her communications officer. "Specialist Rivera, prepare a tight beam quantum transmission to Earth Command. Full encryption. They need to know what we're facing." "It won't get through," Takahashi warned. "The Vorax will detect and block quantum communications." "Then we use something older," Maya decided. "Prepare a message drone with conventional radio transmission. Old tech, low power, something they might dismiss as background noise." As her crew hurried to comply, Maya stared at the view screen, now showing only stars again. Somewhere out there, the Vorax were preparing to make good on their threat. "Chief Engineer Singh," she called over the comm. "Singh here, Captain," came the quick reply. "How quickly can you modify our shield emitters to create a targeted electromagnetic pulse?" There was a pause. "An EMP? That's ancient technology, Captain. Practically prehistoric." "Exactly. And sometimes, the oldest weapons are the ones your enemy forgets to defend against." Understanding dawned in Singh's voice. "I'll need at least 3 hours to reconfigure the emitters without taking our shields offline." "You have too," Maya replied. The next 90 minutes passed in tense preparation. The message drone was launched on a trajectory away from the likely approach of the Vorax, broadcasting its warning on old-fashioned radio frequencies. Meanwhile, the Defiance prepared for battle against an enemy with vastly superior technology. "Captain," Okafor called out, multiple vessels approaching at high speed. Configuration unknown, but their energy signatures matched the surveillance array. "On screen," Maya ordered. The view screen showed 5 ships, each at least 3 times the size of the Defiance. They moved with an eerie grace, their hulls shifting and reconfiguring as they approached, like liquid metal flowing into optimal combat formations. "They're scanning us," Takahashi reported. "Intensive scans penetrating our outer hull." Maya nodded to Volkov. "Activate Defense Protocol Theta 9. Throughout the ship, crew members initiated the unusual strategy they had prepared. Power systems cycled down to minimal levels. Weapon systems appeared to go offline. To the Vorax sensors, the Defiance would appear to be experiencing catastrophic system failures. "They're slowing their approach," Okafor reported. "I think they believe we're having technical difficulties." "Good," Maya said. "Let them think we're crippled." "Singh, status on the EMP emitters." "Ready on your command, Captain," the engineer's voice replied. "But I should warn you, we'll only get one shot before they adapt. Then we make it count." The comm system crackled, and Zolvax's voice filled the bridge once more. "Human vessel, your primitive systems appear to be failing. This is the inevitable result of inferior technology. Prepare to be boarded." Maya gave a tight smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Now, Chief Singh." The Defiance shuddered slightly as the modified shield emitters fired a concentrated electromagnetic pulse at the Lid Vorax vessel. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the alien ship's elegant movements faltered. Its shifting hull froze mid-configuration, sections of it darkening. "Direct hit," Volkov reported, unable to keep the surprise from his voice. "Their main systems are offline. All power to engines," Maya ordered. "Bring us alongside the disabled vessel. Prepare boarding teams." The crew stared at her in shock. "Captain," Volkov questioned. "They expected us to surrender or die," Maya explained. "They didn't expect us to fight back, and they certainly didn't expect us to board them." She stood, adjusting her uniform. "I'll lead the boarding party myself. Commander Volkov, you have the bridge." As she strode toward the turbolift, Maya felt the weight of what she was about to do. Humanity's first contact with an alien species was about to become humanity's first interstellar conflict, but the Vorax had given them no choice. As the boarding team assembled in the shuttle bay, Maya addressed them briefly. "Today we fight not just for ourselves, but for every human settlement, every colony, Earth itself. The Vorax believe us to be primitive, inferior. Let's show them just how dangerous primitive humans can be when backed into a corner." The team, a mix of security personnel, engineers, and scientists, nodded grimly. "Remember," Maya continued, "our objective is intelligence gathering. We need to understand their technology, their weaknesses. We disable. We don't kill unless absolutely necessary." As the boarding shuttles launched toward the disabled Vorax vessel, Maya couldn't help but wonder if humanity was ready for this. Ready or not, first contact had happened, and it had immediately turned hostile. The Vorax had made a critical error. They had dismissed humans as primitive, unworthy of respect or diplomacy. They had threatened extinction without considering that even the most primitive creatures will fight with unexpected ferocity when their survival is at stake. And humans were far from primitive. As the shuttles approached the alien vessel, Maya knew this was just the beginning. The Vorax thought they were dealing with an insignificant species they could bully into submission. They were about to learn otherwise. The human response. The boarding shuttle clamped onto the Vorax vessel with a metallic thunk. Maya checked her plasma pistol one final time before nodding to the security team. The airlock cycled open, revealing the alien interior, a curved corridor with walls that seemed to pulse with faint bioluminescence. "Atmosphere is breathable," Dr. Takahashi confirmed, studying her handheld scanner. "Gravity slightly higher than Earth standard." Maya took the first step onto the alien ship, immediately struck by the sensation of walking on something almost alive. The floor had a slight give to it, like compressed moss. "Stay alert," she ordered. "Singh, start analyzing their systems. I want to know how to control this vessel if possible." Chief Engineer Singh, a stocky woman with calloused hands and a perpetual frown, knelt beside what appeared to be an access panel. "Fascinating," she murmured. "It's not mechanical or electronic, at least not as we understand them. More like biotech integrated with quantum computing." The team moved cautiously through the corridors, encountering surprisingly little resistance. The few Vorax crew members they did find appeared disoriented, their skin patterns flickering weakly. Apparently, the EMP had affected them physically, as well as disrupting their ship's systems. "Captain," Takahashi called softly, gesturing toward an open chamber. "I believe this is their command center." The room was dominated by a central pillar of what looked like liquid crystal, surrounded by stations where Vorax officers lay slumped at control surfaces that seemed grown rather than built. At the center stood a larger figure, Supreme Commander Zulvax, based on the distinctive pattern of iridescence across its skin. Unlike the others, Zulvax appeared partially recovered, its multiple eyes focusing on Maya as she entered. "Impossible," the alien commander said, its voice now lacking the smooth translation of before, coming out as a series of clicks and whistles partially interpreted by Maya's own translator. "Primitive. Weapons should not affect Vorax technology." Maya approached confidently, keeping her weapon ready but not aimed directly at the alien. "That's your fundamental error, Commander. You assumed primitive meant ineffective. A Stone Age spear can still kill if it finds a gap in the armor." Dr. Takahashi had moved to one of the control stations, interfacing her equipment with the alien technology. "Captain, I'm accessing their database. The information here, it's incredible and disturbing." "Explain," Maya ordered, not taking her eyes off Zulvax. "The Vorax have done this before," Takahashi said, her voice tight. "At least 7 other species have been relocated over the past 3 centuries. Some were at our technological level, others more advanced. All were considered potential threats to Vorax expansion." Maya felt cold anger building. "And these relocations, where are these species now?" Takahashi's face paled as she read the data. "Controlled habitats. Essentially zoos or preserves. Their development strictly limited. Their populations managed." Zulvax's skin rippled in what Maya was beginning to recognize as the alien equivalent of contemptuous amusement. "All lesser species must be controlled. It is the way of the universe. The strong manage the weak." "Humanity doesn't accept that philosophy," Maya replied coldly. "We've learned from our own history that diversity and cooperation lead to greater strength than domination." "Knave," Zulvax manage. "Your resistance, temporary. Our fleet will recover. Your species will submit." Before Maya could respond, her communicator activated. "Captain," Volkov's urgent voice came through. "The other Vorax ships are reactivating. Their systems are adapting to our EMP. We have maybe 5 minutes before they're fully operational." "Understood. Prepare for immediate extraction." Maya turned to her team. "Finish gathering what intelligence you can. We leave in 3 minutes." Singh looked up from where she had been examining the ship's propulsion system. "Captain, I've figured out how their drives work. It's incredible. They're using quantum entanglement to fold space, not just travel through it. With this technology, we cold. Download everything you can," Maya ordered. "Earth's scientists will need all the advantage we can give them." As her team hurried to complete their mission, Maya kept her attention on Zulvax. The alien commander was gradually recovering, its movements becoming more fluid. "You cannot win this conflict," Zulvax said. "The Dominion spans hundreds of systems. Your single planet, your handful of colonies, cannot resist." Maya smiled grimly. You still don't understand humans, Commander. We've been fighting against overwhelming odds throughout our history. It's what we're good at. The alien skin flickered in what might have been confusion. Your species is irrational. You should calculate the probability of victory and submit when it is low. That's not how we operate, Maya replied. When humans face impossible odds, we don't surrender. We innovate. We adapt. We find another way. Dr. Takahashi approached, her devices loaded with alien data. Captain, we need to go. Now. Maya nodded, backing toward the exit with her team, while keeping her weapon trained on Zulvax. This isn't over, Commander. Not by a long shot. The return to the Defiance was tense but uneventful. As soon as the boarding party was safely aboard, Maya ordered immediate withdrawal. Maximum speed. Lieutenant Okafor, she commanded, returning to her captain's chair. Get us clear of their sensor range. The Vorax vessels are powering up weapons, Volkov reported. They'll be in firing range in 30 seconds. Maya leaned forward. Dr. Takahashi, did you get anything from their systems that could help us right now? The science officer was already at her station, downloading the stolen data. Yes, Captain. I identified the frequency their shields operate on. If we modulate our phasers to match that exact frequency, we might penetrate their defenses, Maya finished. Do it. The Defiance shuddered as the first Vorax energy beam grazed their shields. Shields down to 72%, Volkov reported. One more direct hit, and we'll lose them completely. Weapons modulation complete, Takahashi announced. Maya didn't hesitate. Target their lead vessel's propulsion system and fire. The Defiance's phasers lanced out, a brilliant blue-white beam that struck the pursuing Vorax ship. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the alien vessel shuddered violently, sections of its hull going dark. Direct hit, Volkov exclaimed. Their drive system is offline. The other ships are slowing, Okafor reported. They appear confused by our ability to penetrate their shields. Maya allowed herself a small, satisfied smile. They're not used to being vulnerable, especially not to what they consider an inferior species. She turned to Takahashi. What else did you learn about their technology that we can use? Their entire approach to technology is different from ours, Takahashi explained, excitement clear in her voice despite the danger. They've integrated biological components with quantum technology to create systems that can adapt and evolve. But that integration is also a weakness. Disrupt one aspect, and the whole system becomes unstable. Maya considered this information, like how our EMP affected not just their ships but the Vorax themselves. Exactly, Takahashi confirmed. Their biology is linked to their technology, in ways we don't fully understand yet, but it means conventional attacks might affect them in unexpected ways. The tactical console beeped urgently. Captain, Volkov called out, the remaining Vorax vessels are forming a new attack pattern. They're coordinating, adapting to our defenses. Maya nodded grimly. They learn quickly. So must we. She turned to Singh, who had returned to engineering via internal transport. Chief, the quantum entanglement drive you mentioned. Any insights on how to disrupt it? Singh's voice came through slightly distorted by engine noise. If their drives work on the principle I think they do, they require perfect quantum coherence. Any significant interference in the entanglement pattern would destabilize the entire system. And how do we create that interference? There was a pause before Singh replied. Our deflector dish could be modified to emit a scrambling field, but we'd need to be within 100 kilometers of their vessels. Too close, Volkov objected. They'd cut us to pieces before we got within range. Maya stared at the tactical display, watching the Vorax ships approach in their new formation. Then she smiled, a predator's smile. Not if they think we're already defeated. She looked up at her bridge crew. They expect us to run, to try to escape. They don't expect us to attack. So that's exactly what we'll do. The plan was audacious, perhaps suicidal, The Defiance would fake critical system damage, appearing to drift helplessly. When the Vorax approached to capture the vessel, as their previous behavior suggested they would, the ship would unleash Singh's quantum scrambling field at point-blank range. "All hands, battle stations," Maya ordered. "This is going to get rough." The next 20 minutes were among the most tense Maya had ever experienced. The Defiance drifted, emergency power flickering, life support apparently failing. The ruse was made more convincing by the actual damage they had sustained. "They're approaching," Okafor reported quietly. "The 3 remaining vessels are moving into capture position." "Stand by," Maya said, her voice calm despite the hammering of her heart. "Wait until they're within optimal range." The bridge crew watched in tense silence as the Vorax ships grew larger on the view screen, their liquid metal hulls shifting into docking configurations. They were clearly preparing to board the seemingly crippled human vessel. "Now, Chief Singh," Maya ordered. The Defiance came alive, all systems powering up simultaneously. The deflector dish glowed brilliant blue before emitting a wave of energy unlike anything the ship had generated before. The wave washed over the Vorax vessels, which immediately began to convulse, their elegant forms becoming chaotic and distorted. "It's working," Takahashi exclaimed. "The quantum field is disrupting their entire integrated system." On the view screen, the nearest Vorax ship seemed to fold in on itself, sections phasing in and out of normal space before stabilizing in a malformed configuration. The other 2 vessels drifted erratically, their systems clearly in chaos. "Get us out of here. Maximum warp," Maya ordered, "before they can recover." The Defiance streaked away, leaving the disabled Vorax fleet behind. But Maya took no satisfaction in the victory. This had been merely the opening skirmish in what promised to be a much larger conflict. "Set course for Earth," she instructed. "We need to deliver this intelligence directly to command." As the stars streaked by on the view screen, Maya reflected on the encounter. The Vorax had made a critical miscalculation. They had dismissed humanity as primitive, unworthy of respect or consideration. They had expected submission or futile resistance. Instead, they had awakened something they clearly didn't understand: human defiance in the face of extinction. The very quality they had sought to eradicate was what had defeated them in this first encounter. Dr. Takahashi approached her captain. "The data we retrieved suggests the Vorax dominion is vast, but not without its own problems. There are signs of internal conflicts, resistance from other species. We might not be alone in opposing them." Maya nodded. "Then we find these other species. We form alliances. We show the galaxy that cooperation between diverse civilizations creates strength that domination never could." "And if the Vorax don't accept that vision?" Takahashi asked quietly. Maya's expression hardened as she looked toward the stars that now carried them home. Home to warn their people, to prepare for the war that was coming. "Then we teach them the most important lesson about humanity," she said. "We don't submit to bullies, no matter how technologically advanced they might be. And we never, ever give up." As the Defiance raced toward Earth, carrying the warning of the Vorax threat and the technology that might help defend against it, Maya knew that the coming conflict would test humanity like nothing in their history. But she also knew something the Vorax would learn too late. Underestimating humans was the last mistake many opponents had ever made. The Vorax had tried to choose extinction or submission for humanity. Humanity would forge a third option, as they always had.